We wanted to get into a discussion of the topic. We've got, as we said, every week, if we can help it, expert guest, and Steve Quehl, been a mentor of mine for a long time. Returning guest, welcome back, Steve.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yeah, just real quick to make sure everybody knows who we're dealing with and your expertise. Little Steve Quehl commercial here to let us know what you're doing and why I'm so excited about having you on.
Well, I'm a partner with TechCXO. I'm also a mentor at the ATDC, which is where we met. I have a 40-plus year history in the world of enterprise software sales and selling in that community. I've been a member of a startup. I've been a leader in a startup. I've been a leader in a billion-dollar public corporation. So I've sort of spanned a number of sizes and types of primarily B2B technology-oriented sales organizations.
Awesome. And you were really excited about the comments this week. I really like the fact that you actually shared some of your own personal insights, because the topic this week in the first opening statements of chapter 1 of the book, which is focused on what I call the seller's perspective. And it's the philosophy, the assertion that business leaders should look to their sales team and the opinion of the frontline salespeople themselves for more direct insights on where the business should go. Now, I didn't say to spend their time exclusively focused on the sales team's opinion, but that they should have even more of a say in where the business is going to go because of their access to firsthand information. And you seem to share some of that sentiment. You said that there might be a gap there in what's currently going on in most of your clients that you work with, and you actually share some of your personal thoughts on how to do it better.
Well, there is a gap, and that's especially apparent in organizations that are led by technology-oriented founders who personally haven't had experience either conducting or leading sales organizations or conducting primary sales processes. As founders, entrepreneurs, often they are forced into that role. But in many cases, that mindset exists even well past the startup stage. So I think it's important to ensure that the people who are on the front line, the boots on the ground, if you will, who have success, are given a seat at the table in determining how well the company can perform in the marketplace, given their positioning, et cetera, because the success those salespeople have, or the lack thereof, is evidence of that company's foothold and ability to grow. So again, that's not a right. That's something that has to be earned. And I think I want to make a point too, that just because they're in sales and just because they're out there saying they're calling on customers, it doesn't mean they're entitled to have something that if they're not truly performing in that role and actually selling the product and fighting competition and winning.
Right. Well, amen to that. Now, we know from talking before, I've developed a 5-ring framework of how work flows through the sales team and the marketing team in a continuous cycle. And you actually shared an excellent framework as well as how things flow in a cyclic way based on your experiences. You mind if we share that with the rest of the world?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and talk through it with us a little bit. Help us understand this diagram here, this model that you've kind of broken out.
Well, this stems from a prior conversation that we had, Jason, and you recall in our last conversation, we talked about sales culture. And this stems from having an active and vibrant sales culture in which the various functions that are in supporting roles or otherwise required to take a company to market in support of a sales effort are talking to each other and aligned in terms of the corporate mission, the corporate objectives, understanding how and why customers buy. I think that's really critical. It's not enough for salespeople to get it and go out and do it. They can't do it by themselves. They must have the support of the organizations, back at headquarters or in the field. And this diagram is intended to represent what I call the Wheel of Fortune, but it's really a closed loop model. So you step into it anywhere, you're going to flow like a river around in this progression. But assuming that you are at a point when you're mounting an effort to get to market, there's going to be a period of time when you've got organizations coming together to plan just exactly who that customer is, how we're going to address those customers' specific business problems and solve them better than the competition, how we're going to message out and determine that there is product market fit, because essentially if you don't find that early on, you have nowhere to go from there.
Excellent.
And then determine the channels and resources. That flows into the outbound efforts to generate the demand and ensure that the messaging that we decided upon is delivered in a digestible format to those customers and is continually fed, and that nutrition and that nurturing is occurring to grow the interest and turn that interest into awareness and ultimately into conviction that you're the right organization to do business with. That's when you set the foot soldiers loose. And again, we're assuming something here, that it is a direct sales force. We're assuming it doesn't have to be. It could be a channel operation as well. But for the moment, let's consider this as a B2B enterprise scale direct sales operation. But the one point I make there at the bottom of that yellow bracket is the sales and marketing alignment. There must be an assurance of marketing alignment for this. And we talk about, and we joke about it. We joke about cats and dogs living together in marketing and sales, but that can no longer be the case. And the main reason for that, and as we may have alluded in prior conversation as well, this is not about declaring a sales cycle and putting a battle plan in place based upon what you think needs to be sold. This is having to tune into how the customers buy, because the buyers are in control. That buyer's journey, that buyer's process is really the driving force. So the attention has to be paid here, and that's why alignment is so critical between sales and marketing, because the customer really is calling the tune here. So there has to be communication, there has to be cooperation, there has to be understanding that's joint, and that there's feedback between the two. And there's really the key from a management standpoint is that there's goal alignment in the form of compensation alignment to ensure that works out.
Absolutely. It's funny because, again, the stuff that I'm working on is focused on how to get sales and marketing to flow and work together the way you're describing in your model here. And the operations, the leadership that controls things like compensation is the tie that binds. It's what has to more or less force that change in culture so that those two work in a synchronistic, synergistic way. So excellent.
Goal alignment is usually best served at the level of compensation. So we can say much more about that at a later time.
Yep.
In the interest of time for your audience here, when I refer to sales execution, again, that's not just salespeople working, because clearly there are still people behind the scenes. There's air support, there's artillery, there's all kinds, if I want to use military analogies going on here. Sales operations is engaged in the back office, tying together and ensuring that the reporting and the metrics are being managed during the process. But at some point, the sales model design, which is not done in a vacuum, it was really discussed and looked at back in the blue segment here when we were talking about how channels and resources are going to be applied. But this is where sales management takes the reins and ensures that pipelines are properly managed and that right deals are maintained in whatever documentation format of a CRM or any other things. We want to spend the right time with the right deals and ensure that we have movement and velocity in that pipeline such that we can predict outcomes, we can predict timing, and we can ultimately submit forecasts that actually are met. And this is one of the great deficiencies that exist in the world of sales today, when you consider that fewer than 60% of salespeople make quota. It's probably closer to 53% that's out there today. That's a huge shortfall in expectation and expectation management, that those quotas are not being met. And the root cause of that is very often found somewhere else on this cycle. It has to do, of course, with putting the right people in the right jobs, which is a natural and important job of management. But when those people go out and they're armed and they go into battle, as von Clausewitz said, no battle plan ever survived first contact with the enemy. There has to be contingency plans on how to fight through and get to that point. That's why I'm such an advocate of a sales playbook. And again, a sales playbook is not, for me, a document that you hand to a rookie sales guy and say, here, go read this and learn and then go do. This is a corporate document. This is a corporate document that's designed to be bought into and maintained by the top management down throughout the organization. It's an execution document, and as the name implies, it's a playbook. But when Bill Belichick puts the Patriots on the field, and you'll have to tell me who your favorite team is so I can use the right analogy.
Come on, man. Falcons all day long, baby. Rise up.
Okay. So I'm
we
sure
we don't talk about that B word down here. We don't talk about that.
The organization, and the coaching staff here are aligned completely, top to bottom, and including the top management, general management, et cetera, are involved. So this then looks, again, sales is an execution function, as this red box implies. Mm-hmm. But the old joke about dogs chase cars. What happens when you catch one? That says someone has to manage that customer expectation now that a contract is made, and delivering on the expectations. That desired outcome has to be met by the customer success functions. We may have called that customer service in years past, but it has a much more visible and much more engaging process here. And again, equal footing has to be on equal footing with all these other functions to ensure that those customers not only come, but stay, use the product, love it, use it more, land and expand, grow, and then we use that experience to create reference accounts that we can then turn around and plug back into the marketing function, and the wheel goes round from there. So again, this is about collaboration and cooperation among multiple functions. You see product management involved here. You see financial management involved here. You see top management involved here. It's not just salespeople. But if you cut salespeople out or don't give them the voice that they need to have at all phases of this, you have no more chance of success than if you cut marketing out and don't give them a voice at various stages along the way, or product management, et cetera. I mean, so it's about getting on a team-based equal playing field. So
absolutely.
I don't know if I overshot the mark there, but that's what I'm trying to allude to here in terms of that wheel of fortune.
Oh, well, look, I love it. And again, I know we've just hit the tip of the iceberg here. There's probably tons more to discuss on this, and a lot I want to ask you more about, because there's some interplay between the things that I'm developing and yours as well. So I think we've got something good that anyone could use. And let's let everybody know how they can reach you to go further on this if they actually want to go in depth about it.
Well, they can always reach me through you by contacting you, but they can also reach me at steve.quehl, steve.quehl at techcxo.com.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate your time.